Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
We've talked a lot about wake-up calls and promptings over the years of the Miracle You podcast. And it never ceases to amaze me how we see it in our everyday lives. We have opportunities to learn that we're not quite in alignment with who we are or why we're here. We have wake-up calls that might be conscious wake-ups, ones that try to get our attention in a way of just having a new knowingness or somebody telling us a direction that we might want to go. We have crisis wake-ups where we have a medical problem that gets our attention, or a car accident, or maybe even losing a loved one, an opportunity to look at life and say, oh, I wish I was doing it a little bit different, or I know I'm meant to do things differently, and I want to step into that fully. And then along the way, we get messages too. We get promptings to take action. Do we follow our dreams? Do we follow our heart? When we're in alignment with the things that we love to do, when we're in alignment and we bring into our lives the things that we're really good at, it lights us up. It gives us an opportunity to be more of who we are, be more authentic, and then to share that amazing possibility and that amazing acumen with the world. Each and every one of us has these wake-up calls, and each and every one of us has these promptings. The question is, do we take action before it's too late? I'm with Cary Johnson today. When people hear Cary's life story, they ask him, what haven't you done? The answer is always not much. He grew up in the Pittsburgh suburbs. After Penn State, he was on track to continue working in his father's business, and then recession hit. He joined the Air Force, completed his bachelor's degree, officers training school, flight school, and spent the next 15 years flying, scheduling, training, and having a blast. And then the adventure began. I was honored to meet and fly with Cary in the Air Force. For all you Top Gun fans, his call sign was Frosty. And we actually flew Desert Storm together. And I don't think you're going to hear me calling Cary much throughout our time together today. So just understand that when I call him Frosty, it's coming from the heart. Cary Johnson, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Absolutely, Vince. Thanks for having me. And Frosty it is.
It has been a long time since we've had a conversation, but it's been, to me, just as long waiting to have this conversation with you on a podcast. So I am extremely excited to have you here. Before we dive into some of the story that I want to share with the imagination, could you tell everybody a little bit about what that adventure was that began after the 15 years of flying?
Oh, sure, Vince. Again, first, thanks for having me here, Vince. I know this has been your dream since we were sitting alert at Minot Air Force Base. But when I came out of the Air Force, 37 years old, and I actually retired a year and a half early, Vince, because they did away with navigators. Matter of fact, I was in CFIC, and you know CFIC, but that is the closest thing the Air Force has to Top Gun, right? So we used to say, we're not prima donnas, we really are the best. Okay. My last job flying for them was flying with the Boeing engineers, checking out the computers that replaced the navigators on the KC-135. So, you know, talk about working yourself right out of a job. But after that, you come out and you've had all that experience, all that responsibility. I mean, as a captain in the Air Force, you have more responsibility than any mid-level manager out here just starting out. what do you do? I mean, and I'm a year and a half early now because they offered me the early retirement with full benefits, so I took it. But now what do you do? Well, I have a finance degree and I have a master's in operations. So, hey, and Morgan Stanley was hiring agents. They were building a brand new office in Dallas, Texas. So moved the family to Dallas. Okay, start working for Morgan Stanley. I went to New York for 2 months for training. I worked in the World Trade Center, trained in the World Trade Center and on the New York Stock Exchange. So, man, I was having a blast right there. I was where I was supposed to be. Come back to Dallas, start building the book, as they call it in the industry, start working with clients. And I got a call from a headhunter. Headhunter says, how'd you like to come over to Fidelity and work for salary plus commission instead of just commission? Yep, sign me up. So again, right where I'm supposed to be. Okay, now I'm working for Fidelity and doing okay and helping a lot of people make a lot of money, but bored to death. Sitting in a cubicle in a high rise on Central Expressway in Dallas just wasn't for me. So I bought a FedEx ground franchise route over in Fort Worth, Texas, and started building that business. That was going well, again, right where I'm supposed to be, until my sister, who was a regional manager for AstraZeneca Pharmaceuticals, called and said, hey, the company's launching 2 new drugs. We're looking for 750 salespeople. Are you interested? Heck yeah, I'm interested. Sign me up. So I spent the next 4 years launching Nexium and Crestor for AstraZeneca. I worked in the north, moved to Florida to do that. Okay, and that's how I ended up in Florida. But after 7 years in the Dakotas, that was okay with Kim and I too. But anyways, so now I'm in Florida, moved to South Florida to sell drugs. How's that sound? Think about that a minute. Vince, I was on a 10-person team. I had another guy partner, Fred, and 8 of the smartest, hardest working, beautiful models available as my partners. And we were always number 2 in the country. We could never beat Manhattan. But we're in, South Florida selling drugs. It was a blast. Until one day, Fred called. I get a message on my cell phone. Fred says, where are you? And I said, Fred, I'm at the hospital talking to docs. He says, I'm texting you an address, get here. So I go over. Hey, this is this high-rise apartment building on the Pompano Beach. He says, they're turning these into what they call condominiums. They're selling these apartments. We need to buy one of these. I said, no, Fred, we need to buy 2 of these. So we did. And then we bought 7 or 8 more, and we were just going great guns. Remember where this story started. I was a contractor's son. I knew how to take those dingy apartments and turn them into beautiful condominiums, and we did until 2008, 2009 hit. We lost them all, and we still had all that debt to cover it, right? So I'm sitting in my sister's pool with my dad on his 75th birthday, and he says, how long are you going to milk this real estate stuff, son? And I said, I don't know, Dad. You got any ideas? And he said, airplanes and airports, son. That's your love. That's what you always liked. Luckily, at that time, Broward County Aviation Department, BCAD, was hiring a ramp supervisor. Well, I was a ramp. They called me an operations officer or senior operations officer. What I did, Vince, we patrolled the airfield all day long. Somebody has to take care of those blue lights and yellow lines for you flyers, right? So that's what I did for 3 years there. And then the same guy that hired me catches me in a hall one day and says, did you see the new posting for the new job over at the General Aviation Airport? And I said, I did. He said, I'm looking for an ops guy who knows real estate. Duh. I said, who's hiring that job, sir? He said, me. And I said, duh. So there's where I went next. Working at a general aviation airport is great. You deal with everybody from the student pilot to the dean of the aviation department at the adjacent college, to the city mayor and commissioners, to the county. Anyways, it was great. And then I got sick. And Vince, that's where the miracle part comes in. So let's talk about that when we talk about miracles, okay?
Okay, super. Well, thank you for bringing us up to speed. And I like the bio said, there's not much you haven't done along the journey.
And I hate that being me. But but it's part of the story. It is the story here.
It is, and I agree 100%. And that's why I asked the question, because uh, there was things along the way that helped you keep moving in a direction. And I love the fact that you said, 2008, that was a wake-up call for a lot of people who were in real estate investments. And then the fact that your dad said, son, airplanes and airports.
Yes, sir. Yep.
I mean, that is so important that, there's people in our lives that sees things that we don't see. And the thing is, Cary, you were willing to take the jump. That's one thing that I'll say that a lot of people are afraid to do. They'll stay in that one safe spot. But you were willing. The next opportunity opened the door. Boom, you were through that door and experiencing it, and willing when the next door opened to step through it too. The exciting thing for me through all of this is that the opportunities and the small wake-up calls you paid attention to. And very few people do that. I mean, I was one. I was sharing with you before we started the recording that when we were in Desert Storm, and I want everybody to know that there's a few times Frosty saved my bacon over there. But
and vice versa.
But one of the things that, as I was looking back on that, was when I came back from Desert Storm, I was pretty disillusioned with the fact that I had an opportunity to do what I was training to do what I loved doing. And then we came back and we came back into, this is okay, back to the training world, back to the let's hope you never get to do what you're training to do, because that's not a good thing for the world. And I was a bit disillusioned. And I want to thank you for saying that. Vince, I remember back when we were sitting at the LERT facilities that, you're doing right now what you are meant to do, what you want to do, because I didn't even notice that when I came back from Desert Storm. All I knew is I love flying, and the military, there was something missing for me still in the military. So my answer was going to be, okay, I'll go find a flying job someplace else. And it still took me a long time to get my wake-up calls.
I understand that totally. For me, coming back, the best thing they did to me was send me to the schoolhouse and let me share the knowledge that I had with others. I always tell people that the best thing about the crew we were on, and we were 4 pretty experienced guys, and we were tight. We knew how each other was thinking, right? I always tell people that flying became secondary. We were good at that. We were worried about stuff like, where are those guys and who's shooting at us and where are we supposed to be and where are we not going, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So coming back, and look, I was a navigator. I couldn't go jump to the airlines. There hasn't been navigators on the airlines since before I went in the Air Force. But so I made the best of it with what I had. But when it was time to leave, it was time to leave.
Yeah, and not all of us know that. A lot of people stick around, and one of the things that I want to talk about as we get into our conversation, and I'm going to warn the imagination right now, this is going to go longer than the 30 minutes. That's normal. But we stay in the job thinking, okay, well, if I stay in this job, if I make the money, then I can go home and do what I want to do and enjoy life. And it's really not that. It's us living our purpose in everything we do and in every way we do. So let's talk about the wake-up calls. Okay. So you got sick. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. And they have all the HIPAA rules out there, and I don't really care. Anybody who wants to talk to me can talk to me. But if anybody gets anything out of this conversation today, Vince, this is the most important thing I'm going to say all day. Okay. I am the poster boy for a 50-year-old colonoscopy. Okay. I would be dead right now if it wasn't for 2 things. I was at this General Aviation Airport now. Okay. I decided I was going to start flying again. So I went to get a flight physical. Of course, I went to see one of the guys that I used to call on as a rep, right? And we're sitting there, we did more BSing in that visit than medical stuff. And he said to me, hey, you're over 50 now. Have you had a colonoscopy? And I said, no, doc, not really. And he said, let's get you one. Okay. So guess what? I signed up with another guy that I used to call on. Went and got the colonoscopy. And as I wake up, he goes, you son of a gun. You don't do this to a friend. And I was like, what's the matter, doc? He goes, you need to see a rectal surgeon today. You have a tumor the size of a tennis ball in your rear end, and it needs to come out because it is getting very close to getting to the wall and into the lymph nodes. And if it does that, you're a dead man. Talk about a wake-up call, Vince. There it is, buddy.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank goodness to Kim. She found me the right surgeon. She got it. Long story short here, they took care of the cancer. That was in the spring of 2013. I spent that whole summer doing oral chemo, not injection, oral chemo and radiation. They killed the cancer. I'm cancer free. Thank you. The day before Thanksgiving, they said they were going to give me 3 infusions of chemo, just to make sure they killed everything. Okay. The day before Thanksgiving, I took my first infusion. Thanksgiving Day, the family was all at my house here in Fort Lauderdale because I couldn't travel. But so the whole family's here, and I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I turned as yellow as a highlighter, Vince. I was bright yellow. The next morning, I went to my oncologist. I called the office. I said, something's wrong. He said, what's wrong? I said, you got to see this. He said, come on in. I went in. I walked in the door. He said, don't come in. Go check into the hospital. I'll see you as soon as I can get out of here. Turns out the chemo, I had always had, high liver labs, always. From when I was a kid. But the chemo set it off, and my liver just started dying on the spot. 2013. I spent the next 6 years just getting sicker and sicker. Thank goodness to the people at BCAD that let me keep working as long as I could. And then when I couldn't, I used up all my sick leave. I used up all my vacation time. People donated me vacation time. Thank you, thank you, thank you again. But it came down to when I needed a new liver, and being on a liver waiting list, they do this thing that's called the MELD score. It measures how bad your liver really is. Mine was always in the range. So it wasn't really qualified for a transplant, but I'm dying here, right? Finally, I had a regular weekly appointment, and my surgeon said to me, look, you're dying. I got to get you a liver within 3 weeks or you're a dead man. And they called up all the people that be, and thank God, I got a transplant. And you'll appreciate this, Mr. Ohio State. The anesthesiologist that night came in with a scrub cap on, Ohio State scrub cap. I went, oh, no, I'm in trouble. I'm a Penn State guy, right? So he goes, what's the matter? I said, hey, man, don't hold Penn State against me tonight, okay? He goes, don't worry. I said, you got 2 jobs tonight. And he goes, what's that? I said, number 1, use the good stuff. He laughed. Number 2, make sure I wake up. And, everything came out.
And he did
okay.
both.
Yep. So,
excellent. Let me take you back a little bit, Frost, and let's talk about. So you get cancer. You're close to dying.
mhm.
You get the surgery that you need. Where was your head there? How did you start looking at life different at that place?
Most of the time, Vince, I was still wrapped up in what you were describing earlier. Okay. I was going to work every day. I was just, I was down at the airport writing a new lease for somebody or going to the city commission meeting, whatever it was. I know I treated some people terribly then, because I lost it. My brain was shutting down, and I didn't realize how sick I was. Okay. So the real wake up call came when I couldn't work anymore, when I just couldn't go in anymore. And then it was, oh boy, how much time did I waste? How much time did I waste not being with my boys and not being with Kim and taking care of everybody else's problems and not our own. So I worked real hard. The night I was talking to the Ohio State guy, I was honestly thinking I wasn't waking up. I mean, and I had all the paperwork and everything set for that. So if I were, if I would have checked out then, the way I was saying it, I had a pretty good run. I had a darn good run, but I'm not ready for it to end. So I sure hope it doesn't. And that's
Excellent.
where I am now.
Yeah, excellent. So what was the time frame between finding out that you had the colon cancer
Mhm.
and the liver issue? What was the time frame there?
6 years, 6 years,
6 years. So, okay,
6 years.
so 6 total years. So thank you for sharing the fact that, and you know, some of it's type A personality, some of it's the military personality. You know, it's, yeah, this is happening, but I can take care of it. I can beat it. I'm better than that. And we go through those processes, not realizing that this is a message to get us to look at life different. It's not just our lives happening, but also a message for us to look at things. Are you on track? Are you living life the way you want? Like you said, you know, family. Oh yeah, I realize family's important. Yeah, I realize treating people a certain way is important. So you have the liver disease, and now you live with that for a while.
Well, yeah, the thing is that the cancer stuff, it was pretty quick. I mean, between the spring and Christmas, they had the cancer cleared up, but the damage that happened, the liver disease, then took the next 5 years.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and that was when I was, yeah, I'm fixed. The cancer's done, right? But I was dying from the inside out and didn't take the time to do the things I should have been doing. That's
Now I
when
know
you have
that.
that wake up call, you change life. I'm never going back to work again for anybody ever, period.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. That we'll talk about that for sure in just a second. So now, you know, you know you're dying. What kind of things were you thinking about? A couple. One, what did you want to get done before? And I know you were in a lot of pain, and you weren't in a place where you could you know, go do whatever you wanted to do. But in the process of actually seeing yourself dying, where were your thoughts? What were you thinking about there? And then we'll talk about the next
I,
question.
I I know what you're asking, Vince. If it wasn't for Kim and I've been together 43 years now, and if she didn't stick by me, I'd be dead. Period. I'd be gone because I would never put up with all the paperwork and hassles that she took care of for me. So, but I mean, I was still writing leases for tenants at the airport as I'm walking out the door the last day. So I was still trying to take care of that. In the meantime, my son Alex is in law school, is finally, I mean, this kid is a prodigy. I mean, he was gifted, Vince. He finished high school and his associate degree on the same day. Then he went he went to UCF, Central Florida, got a pre-law degree, and then he went to law school. He graduated law school before he could drink a beer. Okay, so now, yeah, and he's a public defender now up in Orlando. So yeah, I worked hard and I did everything I could to keep him on the right track that way. My other son, Brad's a pilot. He's following in your steps. He's in the American Cadet program. He's still flying our 172, trying to get to the 1500 required. He has a degree in law, criminology, and he's been a law enforcement guy, but he wants to fly, and that's the way he's headed. So as soon as he gets another couple $100, I'm selling that 172 because I'm not flying by myself. And then, but those are the kinds of things I was thinking about, Vince. How can I help my boys get ready for what they need to face? How can I make sure Kim's taken care of? The house. I mean, I virtually remodeled the day I went in. The day before I went in for my transplant, they told me, hey, we've got a potential. And I had the whole bathroom ripped up. And Kim told me, you cannot go in for surgery before you put a toilet in that bathroom. So the day before I got my surgery, sick as a dog, I'm installing a new toilet in the bathroom. That's the kind of stuff I was worried about. Okay.
So in a lot of ways, still following the old rules that we were taught
Exactly.
when we grew up. You know, it's
Exactly.
my job to take care of the family. It's my job to make sure that everything's okay. It's my job to get that toilet in before I
Exactly.
go. And Kim was there to remind you that.
Yep.
First of all, congratulations on 43 years together.
Hey,
That's absolutely amazing. So congratulations on that. So now, the liver's going, your doctor gets you in. Was there any, if I get out of this, I'm going to?
yes. They told me the first year is critical. So don't do, be real careful. Start working out, get your health back. I went down to 143 pounds, Vince. Can you imagine me at 143 pounds? I mean, I'm a 240 guy. Right now I'm at 210. That's where I want to be. But anyways, long story short here, I spent that first year and I go in for my first year checkup and they say, you're clear. That was January 20th, 2020. When did COVID hit? Okay, so now I'm an immunosuppressed guy with COVID out there. I turned into a hermit, Vince. I got to be honest. I didn't leave the house a lot of times for weeks at a time during the COVID thing. And that was terrible on this type A guy. That was killer. That's when I started trading and getting into the Frosty Investment Club. But that's the way I occupied my mind. So that's the wow, I should kind of moment that came out of that, because I'm sitting around here doing nothing and I'm wasting away. I got to do something. What do I know? Hey man, you were trained by the best brokerage houses in the country, Morgan Stanley and Fidelity, and you have degrees in this, and you wrote programs while you were in college when the personal computer didn't even exist to make this thing work. And why don't you figure this out? And that's my ongoing gotcha, if you will.
I think it's such a great story, because one of the things at Imagine Miracles we teach, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this is just me telling you what my intuition's telling me, what my heart's telling me about you.
Did
Your
we ever
purpose,
hold back on each other? Let loose.
your purpose in life, in my opinion, has to do with safety and security.
Absolutely.
It really does. And it's interesting that right now, the financial world is where most of us on earth worry about our safety and security. We're not going to get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger anymore or anything like that. So it's, am I going to have enough to live through retirement? Am I going to do this? So our safety security comes there. But what I really love is what you shared just now was everything is pointing to you being in the financial world and making a difference in the financial world right now. Even though you went back to your love, and I firmly believe that each and every one of us should do what we love to do. There is no doubt. And your real estate prepared you to go back to flying. Your flying world prepared you to go back to the flying world. And you were bringing safety security to people in that environment.
Oh, but then I was a first responder, Vince. Yes, absolutely.
And now the universe, if you will, your body, your knowingness says, okay, Cary, there's more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you're probably not going to step out of the flying world unless we say, here, pay attention. and
a little bit.
Thank goodness we all don't get pay attentions like you. And thank goodness you and Kim had the strength to go through that wake up and say, okay, pay attention. So now you're back. Now you're back to the financial world. You're back to what you went to school for. You're back to what you were trained for. You're back to what you love. And like I said, this is just intuition, but safety and security. Now you're helping people. You're helping friends. You got your investment club. Tell me how that feels.
I'm not trying to really accomplish anything with that, Vince. I mean, I'm not trying to sell a newsletter or a subscription to something or anything like that, like some of the gang out there are, and more power to them. And honestly, I buy a lot of them and I read them, but I figured I know how to interpret this stuff. And guys like that are in my son's office, the guys and gals that are in there, they don't have time to do what I do every morning. And so if I can interpret it and put it out in a 2 to 5 minute blurb every morning and just say, hey, here's what I'm doing. And now look, I'm not a broker anymore. I'm not a registered investment advisor anymore. I used to be, but I'm not anymore. I let those licenses go. No use keeping them up. They're too expensive to keep up. So I can't give it investment advice, but I can tell you what I'm doing. And if you can learn from that, more power to you, right? So the way I'm thinking about it is, Vince, I'm out here. I'm protecting my retirement. I have a nice retirement, did well. And I'm trading weekly, not every day, but weekly. And if I just share that out there, and if somebody can grab a hold of that and do it too, fine, please. I don't need to make any money on that. You know, if you look at me on YouTube, hey, I get subscribers, that's great. But take what this guy knows, and this guy has learned the hard way, and make it easier on yourself. That's the way I'm thinking going forward, Vince.
So you're coming back to your love. You're giving back
Mm-hmm.
to people out there. I want to challenge the imagination, but this is kind of throwing a little challenge out to you too. There's a feeling in our world that I'm at retirement age, and okay, my purpose is no longer there. It's not to be out there anymore. And I want to share with the imagination that actually we could probably live our purpose more fully after retirement, or when we get to that place, because we have so much to give, so much to share. We have time, and I don't think we worked our entire life to go out and play golf. I don't think we worked
Vince, you just nailed it. You just nailed it. Okay. I worked hard my whole life. I mean, I mean, not construction hard, but I I used the brain as much as anybody. I was the chief of the training department at Castle. I was the chief of the scheduling department at Castle. I mean, scheduling 25 airplanes and 175 instructors and 750 students a year. That's hard. Okay. But now I've been given a second chance, Vince. I mean, I'm still alive. I thought I was a goner. I'm still here. So what good is all this stuff in his head sitting here at my desk? Let me put it out there. Let me throw it out there. Instead of me going out there, and hey, I do like to play golf. I play with my brother every once in a while, but my sons don't like to golf. So I don't golf much, but I do like to golf. But instead of me going out there every morning, why don't I try and keep my retirement going the right direction and throw out to newbies and look, if you're a seasoned stock trader, you don't need my advice. But if you're brand new, or if you're retired and just trying to protect it, take a look at the Frosty Investment Club and see what I'm doing. And if it helps you, great. And if you think I'm crazy, let me a note and tell me I'm crazy. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And I'll let you give a little bit more information about that as we get to the end here. So how did all of this change your outlook on life? And how did it change your outlook on people?
On life, I said it once already. I'm the luckiest guy alive, Vince. Number one. I tell folks there are no bad days. There are good days and great days. So far, today's pretty great, Vince. Okay. There are no bad days anymore. I mean, I don't, you can't make me get really mad at you anymore. I think people need to slow down just a little bit, Vince. I mean, we're all in such a rush. We're all trying to make everything happen. I want the big house. I want the, picket fence, the whole. Don't be afraid to take a look at what's going on around you every day. Okay. And when I see some of these morons flipping me off driving on I-95 in Miami, dude, take a pill, man. Relax a little bit. It's not that bad. There's good days and bad days, good days and great days, no bad days.
Awesome. Very good advice there. What do you think about how, as a whole, we look at, it's my way and it's your way, and I'm taking care of myself. How do you feel about that after almost really dying twice?
If I'm a cat, I'm on number 3 or 4 lives here. I'm not so sure our lives here in 2020s are much different from our lives in the 70s, 80s, or our parents in the 50s and 60s. But what's different is how fast we know stuff, how fast stuff is hitting us right upside the head. And I think sometimes if we didn't know it that fast, we might be a little slower to react, and we might be a little better off. But okay, so I don't want to get too deep into politics and all that stuff, but you know me, I'm a pretty type A conservative guy here, and I don't have, and the old frosty flow, it doesn't slow down sometimes. Yeah, that came from the general that you used to work for. He told me one day, Frosty, you need to slow down the flow from your mouth some days. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I certainly do. And the man had a heck of an influence in my life too.
Hey, Vince, one day in a scheduling meeting, he asked me, Frost, and he used Frost, why do you schedule 1 tanker against 4 B1s? And I said, sir, that way I'm sure to get one. Oh, the other side of the room went nuts. And he said, slow down the flows from my mouth. And then he looked over at the other side of the room and said, gentlemen, I think what the captain just so uneloquently said was, get your acts together.
How did this change the way that you dealt with and looked at other people?
I've slowed down a lot, Vince. And I don't mean like physically slowed down. I've slowed down my thought process a little bit. I try and see what they're trying to tell me. You can try and convince me of something, but I'm pretty set in my ways. I'll listen, but I try and be a little more open that way.
Mm-hmm.
But, my whole thought there is, I have my views, you have your views. That's great. I won't try and sell you mine if you don't try and sell me yours. And but if yours makes sense, I'll adopt them. And if mine makes sense to you, please adopt it. Right? Is that? I mean, that's the best I can. That's the best I can think of it.
Well, one of the things at Imagine Miracles is, everybody has their own truth, and everybody has their own rights or wrongs. And I think we have to be really careful at looking at it. Does your truth have to be my truth? And the answer is really no. Are you living your best you? Are you being good to other people? Are you taking care of yourself, your family, the people in your life? And by living your truth, then how can I say your truth is wrong? I really can't. I don't necessarily have to believe your truth. I mean, look at politics. If you're looking at politics right now,
correct.
And I definitely don't want to go the political route here, but if you look at politics right now, if you're looking right and left, both sides think they're right.
Exactly.
Both sides are trying to live their truth. Your advice was right on target, in my opinion. You're entitled to your truth, but having your truth doesn't mean you can't look at mine and then say, hey, that might work better for me.
Right.
Or for us as individuals to say, well, let me look at your truth, because we're pretty programmed in a lot of ways. So opening the door. So in the wake up call, it broadened your focus.
Oh, totally. I used to be boom, right down. Hey, I mean, you of anybody know how focused our lives were,
mm-hmm.
right? And I mean, people tell me things that happened back in the 80s and 90s. I'm like, well, I don't remember that. I must have been somewhere else. But yes, now that I'm free and have time and can read and look, and there's so much media available out there. Yeah.
You got to filter that like everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So for us, we're getting close to the end of our time. And I'm going to ask you a question that I've never asked anybody else before. I'm going to be vulnerable and open the door there. And then I'm going to ask for your parting piece of advice. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to share a story about me that nobody else, this is me being vulnerable. This is me saying, you know, we need to have our friends. We need to have people who know us intimately, and we need to share that with the world. We keep ourselves hidden too much. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to let a little bit of Vince Kramer out into the world that maybe even nobody else knows. I might not even remember.
Two things come to mind, okay? And the one's real quick. Remember, you got me out of jail one day. Okay, but let's skip that one. Okay.
That'll keep people wanting you to come back.
Exactly. There you go. There's your tease. Quote unquote, stole the car in Saudi.
Go ahead, tell me.
Vince Kramer, ladies and gentlemen, and I, we were sent to Saudi Arabia because we flew an airborne command and control airplane. All right. And our job was to, the grunts on the ground could not talk back to headquarters. So our job was to provide a low flying satellite to allow the radio guys to talk back. Well, when we pulled into the country, we were qualified to fly any model of the 135 air refueling tanker. So the staff there at the airport put us on a bunch of tanker missions. We're here not flying the airplanes we brought, we're flying other missions. And one day, your host here looks at me and says, "This ain't right. We're not supposed to be doing this." And I said, "Yeah, I know." He said, "We need to get down to that big headquarters building and talk to the right people." And I said, "Well, there's a Toyota sitting right over at the side of the building with the keys in. Let's go." And we did. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. It wasn't quite a stolen vehicle, but
No,
but I
it was a
do.
borrowed vehicle because we brought it back.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
But we went down there and we found that big headquarters building. We went through all the rigmarole to get into the right section. When we walked in there, I don't remember if you, I don't know if you remember, but there was a whole bunch of full bird colonels sitting there. Here we are, two captains, and we go walking in and we say, "Hey, we're the EC guys. What are we supposed to be? Where the heck have you guys been?" Right?
Mm-hmm,
And so sometimes, folks, our whole lives changed right at that very point. And we were then doing the job we were sent there to do, and all because we took a little bit of a chance. We quote unquote borrowed a car, went where we weren't supposed to be. And oh, by the way, when I got back, I ended up working for that one colonel that was at the firehouse that didn't want us to do that. He became my ops officer, Vince. So there's little truth about how far out on a limb Vince Kramer will go to get the job done right.
I got spanked when I got back from that one too, for sure.
Yep.
Excellent. Thanks for sharing that story, Frost. I like to tell the story of the thunderstorms and the AAA fire, and that you got us through. A matter of fact, it's Mary and I were talking today. We're going to release that talk again. It's an 18-minute talk that I put together for TEDx. We're going to release that talk again after your episode.
Okay.
So that's pretty exciting. What's your parting piece of guidance for us?
I mean, it's kind of crazy when you're sitting on 120,000 pounds of jet fuel and they're shooting tracers at you, right?
Yep, it's
Remember
pretty
what
exciting.
you say? At least it'll be quick.
Yeah, exactly.
I use this line a lot, Vince, and it's a guy said it to me way long time ago. If you don't ask, they can't say no. And I've never been hesitant to ask, and I've been told no, but I've been told yes a lot of times too, and that's how I got to do a lot of the things I do. So going forward, if you're out there and you're hem-hawing back and forth, if you don't ask, they can't say no. And if they say no, don't be mad. Ask again. I kind of built my career on that philosophy right there.
or find another way to ask. So they
We're finding
might
another way to ask.
reconsider. Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you. Great advice. How can people find out more about the investment club?
Okay, it's simple. It's not pretty. It's rough, and I'm building it, and I'm learning a lot doing it. But every morning I put out a little post on YouTube, and I post it to my page on Facebook. The page on Facebook is Frosty's Investment Club, or just look Cary Johnson, and it'll lead you there. Cary, or search YouTube for Frosty's Investment Club. I put out a little 2 to 5 minute video most days, just with my thoughts and what I'm doing with my investments. If you go on there and you subscribe and you give me your email, look, this whole thing boiled down to, Vince, what I never said here, and I know we're long. I wrote a program in 1984. My senior investment professor was like enthralled with a brand new IBM PCs. There was no such thing, but there was no internet back then. There was no online broker back then, right? And I wrote, as my senior thesis, I wrote an algorithm that predicts trends, and it still works. Vince, last year, my account was up 54%, okay? Just following these trends. So if you give me your email, I'll send you the results of that algorithm run every Wednesday morning. Fair enough. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. That is so generous of you. Appreciate it so much. I'm so happy, one, that we found our way back to each other, but I'm also so excited for you that you found your way back to aviation, first of all, but now you've found your way back to another love, your abilities to share the financial world, to help others, to support your family, but to enjoy your life. So I'm so excited for all of those things that have happened. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And I appreciate you wanting your story to make a difference.
It's been a great run, and I learned a lot, and hopefully I can share that. And thank you for letting me do that here.
Well, thanks for joining us. I had a great time, and I think that everyone in the imagination will be able to take several things away from our conversation today. So thank you for joining me.
Thanks again, Vince.
On behalf of my wife and business partner, Mary, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.